My boyfriend Ryan seemed perfect. He lied, isolated me, controlled everything. I found his secret Carson family ties. At their gala, his knife flashed. I was the girl everyone wanted to know back in high school, in Springfield, Illinois. Not because I was some queen bee, but because I genuinely tried to be kind. I'd save seats for the quiet kids at lunch, include them in group projects, and my phone never stopped buzzing with texts about weekend plans. It was chaotic, exhausting even, but I thrived on it. Parties, football games, study groups, my calendar was always full. People saw me, Sarah, as the glue holding our friend group together. But deep down, I had this gnawing feeling, like nobody really cared about me. They liked the idea of me, the social butterfly, not the real Sarah who overthought everything. My best friend Emma was different. She was my rock, the one person who saw through the mask. We'd spend hours at her place, sprawled on her couch, laughing over dumb TikToks or crying about family drama. Her parents practically adopted me when mine kicked me out over stupid fights like leaving dishes in the sink. Emma's house always had a plate ready for me, no questions asked. We had this unspoken trust, no jealousy, no games. I could show up at her door at midnight, mascara running, and she'd just hug me tight, make tea, and listen. That kind of friendship felt rare, like something you only see in movies. Still, I couldn't shake the doubt. Was I just a status symbol to others? The popular girl who made them feel cool? Graduation proved me right. After we tossed our caps, most of my so-called friends vanished. Texts went unanswered. Plans fell through. But Emma stayed. She was there when I packed for college, when I doubted myself, when I needed someone to remind me who I was. I thought nothing could break us. I was wrong. Looking back, I see how naive I was, how easily someone could slip into my life and tear it apart. But that's a story for later. For now, I was just Sarah, the girl who had it all, or so I thought. It was a humid summer night in Springfield, at a crowded house party near Lincoln Park. I was 19, fresh out of high school, sipping a lukewarm soda, laughing with friends. That's when I met Ryan. He strolled in, all confidence, with a smile that felt like it was just for me. He wasn't like the usual guys, chasing clout or throwing cheesy pickup lines. Ryan noticed things: my vintage Nirvana tee, my love for obscure indie bands like the Beths. He asked questions, listened, made me feel seen. By the end of the night, we'd swapped numbers, and my heart was racing. I thought it was chemistry. Now, I know it was a trap. Ryan was relentless, texting me daily, charming me with compliments. He'd show up at my favorite coffee shop, just passing by, with my exact latte order. It felt like fate. But then, the comments about Emma started, subtle at first. "She seems kind of fake, don't you think?" he'd say, smirking, when I mentioned her. Or, "I bet she's jealous of you, Sarah. You're way out of her league." I laughed it off. Emma? Jealous? She was the most loyal person I knew. But Ryan didn't stop. He'd drop lies, like how Emma flirted with him at a gas station, asking for a cigarette. I knew it was nonsense. She didn't even smoke. Still, his words were like tiny seeds, planting doubt. He'd call her Shady Emma behind her back, laughing like it was a joke. I told him to cut it out, but he'd double down, saying I deserved better friends. It was weird how he'd twist things. Once, Emma complimented my new jacket, and Ryan later said she was mocking it, that her tone was off. I defended her, but his voice was so calm, so sure. It made me second-guess myself. Was I missing something? Emma and I started arguing over small stuff, plans she forgot, texts she didn't answer fast enough. Ryan was always there, whispering, "See, she doesn't really care." I hated how it made sense. Looking back, I see how calculated it was. Ryan wasn't just some jealous boyfriend. He was dismantling my world, piece by piece. I didn't know it then, but he had a reason, a dark one. Emma was my anchor, and he needed her gone. By the time I realized what was happening, I was already in too deep, caught in a web I couldn't see. All I knew was Ryan's charm, his promises, his lies, and I fell for every single one. Ryan's charm was a slow poison. After a few months of dating, he convinced me to move in with him in Chicago, promising it would be a fresh start. My family in Springfield was a mess, constant fights, my parents screaming over petty things like unmade beds or late rent payments. Ryan painted himself as my savior, offering a cozy apartment in Wicker Park, far from the chaos. I thought I was escaping. I didn't see the cage he was building. At first, it felt like a dream. Ryan cooked dinners, left sweet notes on the fridge, and planned movie nights. But then, the control crept in, subtle, like a fog you don't notice until you're lost. He started checking my phone when I slept, asking why I texted my cousin about nothing important. "You don't need to talk to everyone, Sarah," he'd say, his voice calm but sharp. He'd roll his eyes at my playlists, calling my music taste basic. Soon he was picking what I listened to, his curated Spotify lists only, my clothes, too flashy, too tight, too try-hard. He'd suggest what I should wear, framing it as advice, like he was doing me a favor. The Christmas incident with Emma broke something in me. She forgot my gift while handing out presents to others at a party. It stung, not because I cared about the gift, but because I felt invisible to my best friend. Ryan pounced, sending me mocking Snapchats with clown filters, texting, "Real friends don't forget you, Sarah." His words twisted the knife. I started pulling away from Emma, ignoring her calls, leaving her texts unread. By January, I ghosted her completely. My ride or die of 6 years over a stupid misunderstanding. Ryan nodded approvingly, like I'd passed a test. He pushed me to quit my barista job at a cafe in Logan Square, claiming my boss was disrespectful for asking me to work weekends. He wasn't. Ryan just didn't want me out of his sight. He tracked my location through an app he insisted I install for safety. If I went to the grocery store, he'd text, "Why are you at Whole Foods so long?" My world shrank to his apartment, his rules, his voice. I stopped wearing my favorite red dress because he said it drew the wrong attention. I stopped listening to the Beths because he mocked them. I stopped stopped being Sarah. 8 months in, I was a shadow of myself, dependent on Ryan for everything: rent, groceries, even my sense of worth. He'd check my emails, question my chats with coworkers, make me feel like I was always one step from screwing up. I didn't see how bad it was. Not then. It was like boiling a frog: turn up the heat slowly, and it doesn't jump out. Ryan had me right where he wanted. Isolated, compliant, his. I thought I was in love. I was wrong. He was playing a game, and I was just a pawn. I woke up one morning in Ryan's Chicago apartment, my world in pieces. Out of nowhere, he dumped me. "You're too much work, Sarah," he said, his voice cold, like I was a broken toy he was done fixing. He gave me until the end of the month to move out, acting generous, like I should thank him for not kicking me to the curb right then. I was gutted, alone, with no job, no savings, and no one to call. My parents were still a mess, and I'd burned every bridge with my friends, except one. My hands shook as I dialed Emma's number, tears blurring the screen. I hadn't spoken to her in months, not since I ghosted her. I braced for rejection, but when she answered, her voice was warm, steady. "Sarah, what's wrong?" I could barely speak, sobbing so hard my words jumbled. Somehow, Emma pieced it together. "Pack a bag," she said. "I'm sending an Uber to get you." An hour later, I was at her apartment in Logan Square, clutching my suitcase, shame heavier than anything I carried. I couldn't even look at her, staring at my worn sneakers instead. Emma didn't hesitate. She pulled me into a hug, tight and fierce, like no time had passed. I broke down again, the weight of 8 months crashing over me. She led me to her couch, made chamomile tea, and let me cry it out. Her place was a comfort: thrifted furniture, half-dead plants, just like I remembered. "I'm so sorry," I started, my voice cracking, but Emma cut me off. "Sarah, I've been digging into Ryan." Her words hit like a shockwave. She pulled out a folder, stuffed with photos, screenshots, receipts. Ryan wasn't just a controlling ex. He was married, with 2 kids, living in Evanston, just a town over. He had 3 other girlfriends, each in a different suburb, all part of some twisted game, and it got worse. Emma leaned in, her eyes fierce. "He works for the Carson family, Sarah, the ones who own half of Chicago's chemical plants." My stomach dropped. I'd seen something at their plant near Lake Michigan, barrels of glowing green stuff dumped into the water at 2 a.m. I'd mentioned it at that party, thinking it was no big deal. Ryan had been there, buying me a drink, asking about my walks. I thought he was just interested. Now I saw the truth. He wasn't random. He targeted me, and Emma was about to help me figure out why. Emma's words hung in the air, heavy, like a storm about to break. I sat on her couch, clutching my tea, my mind reeling. Ryan, married, with kids, running a network of fake relationships for the Carson family? It sounded insane, like a bad movie, but the folder in Emma's hands was real. She spread it out on her coffee table: photos of Ryan at a gated mansion in Lake Forest, screenshots of secret social media accounts, address records linking him to Evanston. My stomach churned. I'd lived with this man, shared his bed, and he'd been playing me the whole time. "Sarah, look at this," Emma said, pointing to a photo. Ryan, exiting a sleek black SUV, entering the Carson estate. The Carsons owned half of Chicago's industrial scene, their chemical plant a hulking shadow near Lake Michigan. I remembered that night, walking my dog in Grant Park, seeing workers dump glowing green barrels into the water at 2 a.m. I'd laughed it off at the party, thinking it was just sketchy, not dangerous. Ryan had been there, all smiles, asking about my dog, my roots. Now it clicked. He wasn't charming. He was hunting me. Emma's voice was steady, but her eyes burned. "The Carsons use Ryan to silence people. You saw something you shouldn't have." My heart pounded. I wasn't just a girlfriend to him, I was a threat. Emma showed me a list of names, other women Ryan had targeted, each one tied to a Carson scandal: a housekeeper who overheard too much, a journalist who asked too many questions, a secretary who saw shady deals. One name stopped me cold: Lily, my old coworker from the cafe. She'd vanished last year, leaving her cat and apartment behind. The police called it a move. I never bought it. "We need to find Lily's sister, Claire," Emma said. "She's been asking questions." We called Claire that night, my voice shaky as I explained. She was skeptical. Who wouldn't be? I was claiming a billionaire family hired a professional manipulator to target women, but her desperation for answers won out. She agreed to meet us at a crowded cafe in Wicker Park the next morning. Claire arrived, clutching a USB drive, her eyes darting like she expected a tale. "This is Lily's journal," she whispered, sliding it over. We moved to Emma's car for privacy, her warning about the Carsons' influence with Chicago PD ringing in my ears. Lily's journal was chilling. Ryan had isolated her the same way, cutting off friends, controlling her job, her clothes, her life. Her last entries were frantic, saying she felt watched, planning to flee with someone called V. The final line: "Meeting V tomorrow, I'll be free." My blood ran cold. V was our next lead. Claire said V worked at a community center in Uptown, helping women escape abuse. The center was closed, so we planned to go at dawn. As we drove back to Emma's, a black SUV trailed us, taking every turn we did. Emma floored it, weaving through side streets, my heart slamming in my chest. We lost them in a mall parking lot, but the fear stayed. Ryan was watching, and he wasn't done with me yet. The next morning, Emma and I headed to the Uptown Community Center, my nerves on edge. The black SUV from last night lingered in my mind, a shadow I couldn't shake. We wore hoodies and sunglasses, trying to blend in, but my heart raced with every glance over my shoulder. Inside, the receptionist pointed us to Rachel, the woman known as V. She was in her 40s, with sharp eyes and a calm that felt like she'd seen it all. We sat in a small office, the air thick with tension. I spilled everything: Ryan, the Carsons, Lily's journal. Rachel listened, her face unreadable, until Emma slid Lily's USB across the desk. Rachel's eyes softened, but her voice stayed firm. "I've helped women escape men like Ryan for years," she said. "The Carsons pay him to keep their secrets buried." She confirmed Ryan was their fixer, a shadow operative silencing anyone who got too close to their dirty deals. Then came the bombshell. Ryan was the Carsons' illegitimate son, tied to them by blood and loyalty. My jaw dropped. It explained everything: his access, his ruthlessness, their trust in him. Rachel warned us the Carsons had the Chicago PD in their pocket, and even her center was under pressure to stay quiet or lose funding. She worked in secret now, after hours, to help women like me. We needed more proof. Rachel suggested tracking down Mia, another of Ryan's victims, who worked at a diner across the street. We slipped in, my hands sweaty, and spotted Mia waiting tables. I recognized her from a photo on Ryan's phone. He'd called her a friend. I scribbled a note asking her to meet us in the bathroom. Minutes later, Mia slipped in, her hands trembling. Ryan ruined me, she whispered. He'd forced her out of nursing school, isolated her, threatened to leak private photos if she talked. Her fear was raw, her voice cracking when I mentioned the Carsons. They're untouchable, she said, gripping the sink. Ryan's their attack dog. Mia didn't know Lily, but she'd heard of Rachel, whispering her name like a lifeline. She agreed to join us later, after her shift. Back at the community center, Rachel gave us a burner phone and an address for a safe house in Joliet, an hour away. No devices, no tracks, she warned. We needed to move fast. Ryan was closing in. As we left, I noticed my phone buzzing with texts from him. "Where are you, Sarah? We need to talk." My stomach twisted. He'd installed tracking software, hadn't he? I powered it off, my hands shaking, but the damage was done. He knew I was digging. Emma drove us toward the safe house, but headlights followed us again. Too close, too steady. My pulse hammered as she took sharp turns through Chicago's back streets, tires squealing. We ditched the car in a crowded mall lot, blending into the evening shoppers. I reset my phone to factory settings, losing everything: photos, contacts, my entire digital life. Emma lent me her old laptop to start over, but when I tried logging into my email, my passwords were changed. Ryan had locked me out of my own accounts. His control was deeper than I'd imagined, a web tightening around me. We had to find Mia and get to that safe house before he found us first. My heart pounded as Emma and I fled the mall, the Chicago skyline a blur behind us. Ryan's texts haunted me. "I know where you are." He was tracking us, closing in. We grabbed Mia from the diner, her eyes wide with fear, and piled into Emma's beat-up sedan. The safe house in Joliet was our only shot, but the black SUV was back, tailing us through the city's neon-lit streets. Emma floored it, weaving through traffic, my nails digging into the seat. "Hold on," she muttered, taking a sharp turn down an alley. The SUV followed, relentless, its headlights glaring in the rearview mirror. We hit the highway, but Ryan was too close. Mia whimpered in the backseat, clutching her bag like a lifeline. I checked my burner phone, no signal, no way to call Rachel. Emma's knuckles were white on the wheel as she swerved into a truck stop, hoping to lose them in the chaos of semis and floodlights. We ducked behind a gas pump, hearts racing, watching the SUV cruise past. For a moment, I thought we'd made it. Then my old phone, still in my pocket, buzzed. A single text from Ryan. Nice try. He'd been tracking my old device, even powered off. I smashed it under my heel, panic rising like bile. We ditched the car in a strip mall lot, blending into the evening crowd. Emma led us to a Greyhound station, where we bought tickets to Joliet under fake names. My hands shook as we boarded, every stranger's glance feeling like a threat. In Joliet, Rachel's safe house was a small, unmarked duplex, hidden behind overgrown trees. We settled in, but the plan was shifting. Rachel had intel on the Carsons' annual charity gala in downtown Chicago tomorrow, a perfect chance to infiltrate and find evidence. Mia was too shaken to join, so we left her with Rachel's contacts. Back in Chicago, we learned Ryan was hunting us. Emma hacked together disguises from a thrift store: wigs, oversized glasses, fake IDs. We looked ridiculous, but it might work. At the gala's venue, a glitzy hotel ballroom, I spotted Ryan's SUV in the lot. My blood froze. He was here, waiting. Emma grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a service entrance. "We're not backing down, Sarah," she said, her voice steel. Inside, we blended with the catering staff, my pulse hammering as we scanned for clues. A locked door marked private caught my eye. Emma nodded, slipping me a stolen keycard. Ryan was close, his shadow looming. We had to move fast, or we'd be trapped. The Carson Gala glittered with wealth, chandeliers casting light over Chicago's elite. I moved through the crowd in my stolen catering uniform, tray in hand, heart slamming against my ribs. Emma was nearby, posing as a server, her eyes scanning for Ryan. The locked private door led to a restricted wing. I swiped the keycard, slipping inside. The hallway was dim, lined with security cameras. I timed my steps, ducking during a guard's break, my breath shallow. At the end, a study door glowed faintly. Emma's intel said it held Carson's secrets. Inside, I found Emma, wrists bound, gagged in a chair. My stomach dropped. She nodded fiercely, urging me to hurry. I untied her, my hands shaking as she whispered, "Ryan's framing me for theft." We rifled through files, finding a ledger proof the Carsons dumped toxic waste under my childhood home in Springfield, linking their chemicals to my parents' cancers. My rage boiled. I snapped photos with a burner phone Emma stashed. Footsteps echoed outside. Ryan burst in, his eyes wild, blocking the door. "You're done, Sarah," he snarled, grabbing a letter opener. I hit record on the phone, my voice steady. "Why'd you target me, Ryan? For the Carsons' poison?" His face twisted, spilling everything: how he silenced witnesses, how I'd seen too much at their plant. His confession was gold. He lunged, the blade grazing my arm, blood dripping onto the oak floor. Emma tackled him, knocking the weapon away. Guests nearby heard the crash. Phones out, recording Ryan's attack. Carson security rushed in, claiming I'd stolen valuables, but the crowd's videos spread online, unstoppable. Federal agents stormed the gala, warrants in hand, shoving past Carson's bought cops. Ryan tried torching the study, but sprinklers doused the flames, preserving the soaked ledger. His desperation backfired perfectly. The Carsons' lawyers offered me millions to sign an NDA. I thought of my parents, their pain, and refused. No money could buy my silence. Ryan got 15 years for kidnapping, assault, conspiracy. The Carsons faced federal charges, their fortune gutted for victim funds. My parents got treatment they'd never afford. Emma and I started a foundation, helping manipulation victims, growing clean vegetables in our Joliet garden. Justice wasn't just mine, it was for everyone they'd hurt.